Now, there hasn't been a fatal commercial aviation disaster over the past 16 years in the US, but unfortunately that changed yesterday at the Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington. We all know what happened by now. A CRJ-700 collided with a US Army HU-60 Sikorsky helicopter right on approach to the airport. And both of these aircraft went up in flames and fell apart and crashed into the Potomac River. When I saw the footage this morning, I was very sure that no one would have survived this incident. Neither the 64 souls on board the CRJ nor the 3 souls on board the Sikorsky helicopter, which shocked me deeply. And after a long time of contemplation, I thought we should make a video about this and recreate this and see what happened. We're talking about American Eagle's Flight 5342 from Wichita in Kansas to Washington. The plane took off yesterday in Wichita at 5:38 p.m. local time from runway 19 right. The airplane in question, November 709 Papa Sierra, was a 20-year-old CRJ-700ER operated by the PSA Airlines for American Eagle. Now, I hope you don't mind me using daytime lighting to recreate this flight. I just want to, give a bit of a better visibility. Since this is the United States of America, we can listen into what happened on frequency. The airplane came in for landing, originally planned for runway 01, this runway right here at the Ronald Reagan International Airport.
Tower 5342 on Mount Vernon visual, runway 1.
Lucia 5342, Washington Tower 1 star 32 Zurich 17 plus 25. Can you take runway 33?
Yeah, we can do 33 for Blue 5342.
Lucia 5342 at the Wilson Bridge, thanks for runway 33, clear to land.
Initially cleared for the other runway, there was a change of plans right here. Airplane had to make a slight right turn to do a circle approach into runway 33. Clearly nothing out of the ordinary. There even is a published GPS RNAV approach into runway 33, which looks exactly like this. Airplane would come in, turn left, and then here land runway 33.
Change to runway 33, runway 33, clear land, Blue 5342.
Is 1,000 north of feet, start runway 33.
Now here in the video of Vast Aviation, we can see things quite well. What we see is PAT 25, which is the US Army helicopter. Right now, they're flying down a very usual helicopter route. The Washington area is of course known for millions of helicopters flying around. There are designated routes with altitudes. The Sikorsky helicopter was flying down the Route 1 at 200 feet, as mentioned in the chart. Here it says maximum altitude 200 above sea level. Meanwhile, our plane, Flight 5342, is on approach runway 33, supposed to make a left turn right here. You can see both these planes are reaching quite close altitudes here on final approach, with 5342 at 500 feet right here and our PAT 25 helicopter at 200 feet. And here comes the important question about, visual separation. Both these aircraft are being hand flown right now, with pilots having to look out of the window.
Pass 25, CRJ in flight. Pass 25, pass line is CRJ.
Right, here's the important call from tower, asking the helicopter, do you have this plane in sight? While also instructing the PAT 25 helicopter to wait for the incoming airplane.
Pass 25, pass line is CRJ.
Okay, visual separation approved. Here it is. And you can see these two dots coming together. 400 feet, 300 feet.
472 by BAT, for visual. American 472, Washington Tower 1 star 32017.
Right, and this is the moment of happening.
Did you see that? 472. American 3130, go around, turn left in 250, climb maintain 3000.
And of course here the airport was shut down. I mean, we only have footage here from what so far is security cameras that were rolling, but we see these two aircraft completely detonating and falling apart, really. The CRJ-700 apparently being, ripped into 2 parts. Truly an heartbreaking accident. And of course everybody's asking the question now, what went wrong, and also who's to blame. I think first of all it's important to mention that none of the operations that we saw here were anything of the abnormal. Helicopter was flying a standardized route, and so was the airplane flying a standardized approach. People at first were blaming the military for doing exercises around a civilian airport, but no crazy antics were done here from the pilot's perspective. The only point where you can mention a piloting error is of course the visual separation, which did not work out at all.
Pat 25, get the CRJ in flight.
Right, so I mean the Pat 25 helicopter reported that they had the CRJ in sight indeed. And now one option is that the helicopter did not actually see the CRJ, maybe confused it with another airplane in the traffic, or that the helicopter actually saw the airplane coming in. But because of the very tight, steep bank angle approach of the CRJ, they just could not estimate the flight path of the incoming airplane, and they perhaps saw the airplane coming right at them. In fact, people actually suspect that during this training flight, which it was, of the Black Hawk, the crew were training with night vision goggles, which don't really help with field of view. And of course, visual separation by the CRJ would have been very hard. I mean, this is now here at nighttime, and the thing about flying close to a river at night is that it shines a lot. Here in the flight simulator, it doesn't. But that obviously makes seeing the helicopter harder. I think I can see the helicopter over there. Now, something interesting to point out in the flight track data for sure is that the airplane appeared to have climbed. I mean, this is just simple ADS-B data, but within 4 seconds of tracking, the airplane apparently gained 500 feet of altitude. Perhaps there was this last call of trying to avoid the helicopter in the cockpit, but we cannot be sure of that at all. Now, of course, people blame the air traffic controller as well, and I see that. Having the CRJ land there on runway 33 at night is quite a bit of a cowboy approach, and perhaps the idea of relying on visual separation between aircraft, especially on this approach, might be unwise. Here's one opinion: ATC not doing their job. It's easy. ATC should have instructed the Black Hawk helicopter to make a 360 and orbit until the CRJ had passed. But I would disagree with that, especially because the helicopter itself specifically asked for visual separation. 5025 has a traffic insight request visual separation, so they were asking specifically for this responsibility on their shoulders. You know, this whole visual separation at night thing is very controversial because it's a very American thing as well, which is why some people say that the United States of America is the country of near-miss incidents. Something that definitely isn't done in Europe. I mean, you may remember the whole Lufthansa debacle around a year ago, where a Lufthansa was specifically cleared for visual approach at night in San Francisco, and the Lufthansa denied the clearance. He didn't want to land visually at night.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, depart course, heading a 100, vectors visual approach, runway 28 right.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, depart core heading 100, due company procedures, we are unable visual approach at that time.
Lufthansa 458 Heavy, just for my planning purposes and the final control of planning purposes, can you maintain visual separation with aircraft at night?
458 Heavy, exactly that one is not allowed. And Orca Lufthansa 458 Heavy, if you are not set up for base soon, we will have to declare fuel emergency, and that will really suck up your sequence.
Yeah, that was a whole different problem here. I mean, just last year at the Ronald Reagan Airport, there were 2 near misses. This is why lots of people understandingly demand a change of procedure to turn American airspaces, I guess, less into a Wild West. What I'm just very curious about, though, is who planned these routes. I mean, it is obvious that this route 4 right here, which is in the approachway of the runway 33, directly crosses, even vertically, the flight path of the approach of runway 33. You know what I mean? There's like no procedural separation there at all, and so a collision can happen. And you know what they say, if something can happen, it will happen, and has happened. I think in hindsight, it's always easy to judge things like this, with the air traffic controller relying on the Pat 25, who said they have visual contact and also visual separation, even though that might have been a wrong impression by the pilot of the helicopter. I mean, here on the radar screens, it says collision alert, CA, quite a while before the collision even happened. Perhaps the ATC was just overconfident in the helicopter's abilities to see the airplane and guess the flight path. We do not know. All we know is that this has been a horrible crash, and I think it will definitely impact the way that US airspace management works. especially at the immensely busy airport of Ronald Reagan, Washington. So I'm letting go prayers to the deceased and their families. When I woke up today, I was just in disbelief. I thought I was still dreaming. I was still asleep because I didn't expect this kind of accident, to occur in the capital city of the most powerful country in the world, with all the utilities to navigate planes and separate them properly. It's just a big shame. So my highest condolences. So guys, please let me know what you think about this this incident. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night.